I needed 128 hours to graduate, and I graduated with exactly that. So I was very this. So after step A goes to step B. And so my plan was to work in mental health, later on go back and get a graduate degree, and I was going to have a child clinical psychology practice. Years later, I was in mental health for about 7 years, realized it was too rough as far as I took it home. I didn't let it stay at the office. And it was affecting my mental health. And I realized I needed a job change. Never had I ever thought in my time in undergrad that I would want to work at a college. I don't even think I thought that that would be an option. And so, what we're going to talk about today is that working on developing these competencies or critical skills that employers are looking for. And that's kind of what I did. And so my last year in college, I worked in our student athlete program, and I did tutoring because the job that I had for my junior year of high school, it didn't work out well with my senior level courses that I needed during specific times. So I got a job in the student athlete program, tutoring athletes. It helped me when I took my graduate record exam, because I was relearning all these math formulas, the whole subject verb agreements and all that kind of stuff. So here I was helping them with that, and it helped me knock that GRE out of the park, which I may not have done. So that's one thing to think about when you're thinking about college jobs. But anyway, later on down the road, when I'm looking for a career change, I see something in this student athlete program as a learning specialist. I have no clue what that is, so I Google it and find out it's someone working with people that may have learning disabilities. And so what this job was asking was for someone to work with student athletes with learning disabilities and make sure they had the accommodations that they needed. And so it just so happened my minor was in special education because my interest was with originally working with children. So had those skills. I had worked at a bakery from my junior year of high school through junior year of college, had great information from there, worked in mental health for several years, had great references there, so I had all those competencies that I could talk to them about, and my interest in special education and working with students was what got me the job. I had never thought about being an academic advisor. I had never, if any of you all are familiar with the NCAA, there's a lot of eligibility requirements and a lot of that. Well, I didn't know any of that, but they could see that I was a critical thinker and I was organized. And so they took a shot on me. And that's what led me into realizing my passion is working with student athletes. So since that time, I have worked at 2 different institutions in several jobs, and it's all student focused. And this is where I'm meant to be. So I tell you that story just to say, I thought I was going down one path, and I was able to use those skills through that path to change careers. And most people nowadays are going to change their careers. And I think that's a quiz question, so I won't give you the answer from it. So I'm going to go ahead and then pass it over to Leslie to tell you a little bit about her story.
Very good. Thanks, Maggie. I love that story. And, it's interesting how life just sort of happens, and it just surprises you a lot, doesn't it? And I had a lot of surprises in my life for sure. But when I went to college, my priorities were way out of whack. And so I was not a good student. I was really pretty much an average student all of my life. And so, I really struggled in college. And so when I came back home, I was put on academic probation. So probably I think it was the first semester of my junior year. And so I tried to finish my junior year at the college that I ended up graduating at, but I didn't because I was just such a poor student. My priorities were really, kind of out of whack, like I said. And so anyway, but so for the next 15 years, up until I went back and finished my degree, I worked in all kinds of different, we're going to talk about the environments where you get these competencies. But, I, like Maggie was just saying, I got a lot of, I worked in retail. I worked in a couple different non-for-profit organizations, but, all of my positions were oriented towards customer service. Were oriented towards having interpersonal skills, were oriented towards communication. And so I really built some great skill sets out there in that area, working in stores and working in retail. And so, I used to hate going to customer service training in the store, And the funny thing is that I use those skill sets every single day of my life, quite frankly, in terms of how at the UNCW Career Center, how we greet our guests, how we treat, our guests in being you guys, being the students, into our office. And so, I also, part of my skill set too is in technology. I love technology, which is really weird because I never got a degree in it. And I work a whole lot with technology majors, but I trained myself on how to use a computer. I remember when I started it, and I used to think that if you hit the delete button that you would delete everything, and so, but I learned very quickly that there's not a whole lot that I could really mess up or ruin. So I got a lot more brave, I guess, with computers. And so I did a lot of stuff by myself. I taught myself, but then I went back and finished my bachelor's degree, and I got a bachelor's degree in education. My first major was art, and I made it to education from all kinds of roller coaster rides through all that. And then discovered my passion doing my internship with the Career Management Center then at Old Dominion University, which is my alma mater. And I remember working with a student and helping her, craft her resume and get ready for her first job search, and thinking, wow, I think I'm good at this. This is kind of cool. And I think maybe I want to try and be this. I want to be a career counselor at a college, and I want to work with this particular type of person, in this age group. So I did my research, and I found out, in, again, roller coaster ride of discovery about how to actually break into higher education. And that was, you got to go to grad school pretty much for, getting into being a practitioner. Like Maggie's a practitioner, and so am I. And so off to grad school I went, and I've been with UNCW for 18 years, and have learned, all the lessons and all the competencies that we're going to talk about, have pretty much been covered. And I bet they have with you guys too. So with that said, we've been talking a lot about competencies, so I'll go ahead and start breaking into what they actually are. And so the very first myth, we wouldn't have a major myth program if we didn't have myths. So we have two that we're going to share today. I think you'll find interesting. But the first one is that employers only pay attention to the major. Okay. And so this is one, especially, that I think that students that are on the fence about a major, maybe they haven't picked one yet, maybe they're about to pick one, but maybe they're getting pressure from their families or from their friends, or there's all kinds of external pressures that college students have on picking a major. And so, and one of them happens to be this myth is about the employers. And, I'm paying a lot of money to be here, and I need a job. And part of the reason why I'm here is to be ready for the job market. And so this, kind of thinking of the employer only pays attention to the major really does start to creep in sometimes. And so the reality of it is, that's the myth, but the reality is that this is what the employers are going to be concentrating on. Okay. So these are skills and competencies that college does provide you. Okay. That employers want. Now, this particular list of competencies was developed and pulled together through some surveying that the organization called the National Association of Colleges and Employers did with their employer members. Okay. And so it's called NACE, NACE. And so we get this list from NACE. And so the critical thinking piece, communication, teamwork, technology and computer skills, leadership, work ethic, career management, which is a new one. And I'll get into the meaning of that in a second. And then global intercultural fluency. And so I have kind of put the work ethic, career management, and global and intercultural fluency on, kind of highlighted them for a reason. And that is because I want to make sure that everybody kind of knows what that is. So I'm going to stop share right quick and get back to the PowerPoint. So when we're talking about, hold on for a second. Sorry about this, guys. When we're talking about the skill sets that we are, oh gosh, I'm having the worst time. When we're talking about these skill sets, the ones that are the newer ones that I wanted to show you, are about work ethic, career management, and global intercultural fluency. Excuse me for my stuttering here. So so we have Katie, Gracie, and Thomas. So when you hear about work ethic, what do you think about when you think about work ethic? And you can feel free to type in the chat or just answer out loud if you want. Unmute and answer out loud. Anybody have some ideas of what that might mean?
I think about like working hard and like making sure that you have your stuff done and actually caring about the work that you're doing.
Very good. Very, very good. So sounds like working productively with others, managing your time, stuff like that. Anybody else have any ideas about what that is?
I'd say it's something similar, basically the same thing I was going to say, but also kind of, you know, knowing how to draw upon your years of experience and apply it to, you know, your job position that you're in right now.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it kind of understanding how to transfer skill sets from one place to another. Is that what you're
Sorry.
saying? Good. Excellent. Thank you, Thomas. Another one part about this too that I'm reading is that it really is an opportunity for you to become aware of how you deal with difficult times, how you deal with or how you learn from your mistakes if you make mistakes, which guess what, everybody does, right? And so that's that work ethic piece I think is important. The career management piece is also kind of new to this list of competencies. Can you guys think a little bit about what skills in career management might be? It actually kind of harkens to what a lot of what the Career Center does for you. So part of it is what we're doing today with you guys, and that is identifying and articulating skill sets. And so when we work with students, part of helping to manage career, and this is a life lesson too, that let me rephrase that, these are lessons that you'll use for life, right? And so being able to sit down, kind of slow yourself down and think about, you know, what am I actually learning from this particular position, internship, job? How can that, like Thomas said, transfer into the job, the current job that I'm going for? And so being able to articulate that and put it in writing. You know, setting goals for yourself in terms of, you know, if you're in the process right now of looking for an internship, well, when do you actually need to start that internship? And having an understanding of kind of what the process is about of finding an internship or a job. So what I tell students a lot, you know, when they're managing, you know, getting a new job or an internship, don't wait until April to start your search. You know, if you're wanting, you know, a job or an internship in the summertime, in this example, don't be waiting until April to start looking and thinking about it, right? It needs to start probably in January, right? Or during Christmas break. And then, you know, we start looking and making resumes and getting ready for applications. And so career management really is a lot about organizing and taking responsibility for, you know, kind of the results, you know, of your search. And the last one on the list was global and intercultural fluency. That's a new one also. And does anybody have any feel for what that might mean? Global and intercultural fluency. The word fluency kind of has a ring to it, doesn't it?
So is it just like being able to understand other cultures and like understanding how it interacts?
Yes, very good, Katie. Thank you. Yes. So valuing, respecting, and learning from diverse cultures, being open and inclusive. So the understanding of diversity and equity and inclusion, of course, is a very, very big topic in our culture today. That's a global, you know, type of topic. And as a matter of fact, we've been learning as the Career Center that there are some employers that are actually wanting students to write a DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion kind of a statement as an application, part of their application for jobs. And students on the flip side are going on company websites to see, well, how does this employer actually express diversity, equity, and inclusion? And so those are big parts of it. And another kind of obvious part of it is being able to speak a second language. So that's where, study abroad and all, and it clearly is a part of your work in gaining that. But so I'm going to go ahead and share back screen. Yeah.
Well, Leslie does that.
Yeah, please.
Do I want to
Right ahead.
share, maybe give us an idea of either if you have decided on a major, what it is, or if you're in the process of deciding, or you're juggling, you're kind of thinking about some different areas? Do you all let us know kind of what your thinking is there?
Well, I'm currently in the creative writing department as a creative writing
Mhm.
major. So
Wonderful. Great program.
I'm in the process of declaring a major in psychology.
Okay.
Excellent. Awesome. So once again, looking at these skill sets and thinking about, what exactly, thinking about even the classes that you've taken and how you've acquired these. So you're not only, getting these through work and through internships and through jobs and through all kinds of external types of experiences, you're getting these in the classroom as well. So the next piece that I kind of wanted to show you was a little bit about kind of where students, and it doesn't really matter the age range of the student. You could be a traditional student, which is someone between the ages of like 17 and 22 in that area. You can also be a non-traditional student, somebody maybe who's a veteran, or somebody who's, when you're returning to school like I did. I went back at 35 years old, so I was definitely non-traditional. And so my story, like I said earlier, includes experience in retail, a little bit in restaurants, a little bit in hospitality. What about you, Maggie?
Yes, a large part of that was in retail. In high school, not college, I worked in sports, but then as I shared with you all, I worked with student athletes. So I realized the time management aspect. In retail, it was in a bakery. So there was a lot of hospitality. And then later on, I actually worked with my brother in the hospitality field. I catered for some artists. And so when they would come to do like a regatta or something like that, I actually got to hang out and meet with them, but I fixed their meals and looked at their rider and that kind of stuff. So that was fun. And then also there's the civic and social organization. I got a lot of my leadership skills from college clubs and organizations. I was in a sorority, I was in a leadership position there, and that of course put me in touch. Our philanthropy is on domestic violence. So working at domestic violence shelter and working with people so that I was able to see other stories. So to get an appreciation that everybody didn't have the same experiences and things like that. So those are just a couple of the different things. And then, like I think Leslie talked about, any job you get, the good thing is if it's a good job, you're going to have professional training because we're constantly growing and we're constantly learning. So while sometimes it's like, oh, it actually can kind of, as Covey talks about, sharpen your saw. So keep you up to date on things. Those are my examples.
Absolutely. So y'all feel free to unmute or use your chat. Does anybody have any little brief stories they can tell about their own experiences in these industries? I thought this was really interesting because these are pretty large kind of service areas.
I've also kind of worked in I've also had some experience working in retail through early on when I first graduated from high school, working for Harris Teeter and later Party City. But I got most of my work working on campus at my previous college before I came here to UNCW, working in the bookstore, becoming an a student orientation leader, and I forget what the technical term was, but I was essentially kind of a night proctor for one of the summer camps they ran for high school students. So I've kind of had
Proctoring. Yes. I've done proctoring myself too, back in the day when they used to do different standardized tests on campus. Now they're all online, but yeah. I'll go back to these competencies. So Thomas, what competencies do you think that you acquired doing those jobs?
Well, for working for I learned something different pretty much for each one.
Mhm.
For work ethic, I got that from Harris Teeter because that required a lot of physical work. I worked in the deli section for so that required a lot of, focus when it came to making sure the food was prepared to the customer's satisfaction, making sure the workstations were clean and organized and safe, because we're working with a lot of hot and sharp objects in pretty much a kitchen. And filling out orders that were either over the phone or online for pickup at a quick as soon as possible. I got a similar thing for Party City because I basically originally I worked the I was a cashier there and also handled orders for decoration pickups for Party City for parties. So that required a lot of communication between getting down specifics for the customer as they filled out their order online or over the phone. And also for work ethic, I eventually got changed to a pre-opening, I forget what it was called, but I basically had to work in the early hours of the morning, starting at 4 o'clock to stack merchandise for Party City until they opened at 10 o'clock. So a lot of physical work early in the morning. So
That's great. Well, and that these are all little stories that you can even tell on your resume and cover letter too. And when you get to the point of interviewing, you can tell those stories as well. So if necessary, if it's relevant. But Katie or Gracie, what about you? Can you think of any? Have you all held any jobs? And what a note that I made to myself on that slide. Whoops, on that slide was that you can also get those competencies, get or develop those competencies in non-work experiences too. So it can be community service, it can be even family experiences. I work with many alumni that some have had the chances to travel a lot with their families, and those experiences count too for global and intercultural fluency. And so we talk about that. So can you all think of any of the times when you have been kind of out and about, working or volunteering or in school or anything like that, where these skill sets were developed?
I had a job in retail throughout high school, and I learned like communication and teamwork and leadership.
Yeah.
Because I had to like train the new workers every season.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I got all that, and then I did a lot of volunteer work in high school as well. So I got to learn like critical thinking skills and work ethic because I kind of threw myself into that work. So
Very good. All righty. All right, excellent. So just wanted to make sure everybody was clear that, it's not just your college experience that develops skill sets. It's going to be outside of college as well. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Maggie, and she'll get into myth number 2.
Okay. Working with students, and when they tell us, well, my passion is blank, but all my friends are telling me that I'm really good with math, so I should be a business major, or I really like science, so I should be STEM, but that's not where my passion is. And so a lot of students almost talk themselves out of finding that path that would make them happy because they think that the jobs are only there in those fields, like the business, the STEM, nursing, that kind of thing. So we want to dispel that myth. And you could even, I did it when we were prepping for this, I Googled humanities myths, and there's some really great references out there to just kind of let you know that the job rate is very compatible and things like that. So what I did last week is I went into our handshake system that Leslie is going to show in just a couple minutes. And I actually pulled jobs. My search engine, I know I looked for things like entry-level positions. And then I just working with students, I pulled some of the typical things that I see a lot of students go into entry-level positions, not thinking about specific majors, because I wanted to kind of show you, like she was talking about the first myth, that employers are looking for specific majors. So I just kind of wanted to show you all just an example of this. All right, so share. All right, so there we go. All right, so you all are looking at kind of what I did is I pulled these jobs, I put them all on one piece of paper so I could go through this. But as I put them together, then I started this coding, and I was looking at different jobs that talked about these things. So I'm going to scroll down to show you in a minute, but these go along with the competencies that Leslie was talking about. So a lot of positions will often say things like looking for somebody that can problem solve, negotiate, handle stress, conflict, decision making. They're wanting people that are detail oriented, reliable. There's that work ethic, an independent worker. Nowadays we want a lot of technology skills, data analysis. So being able to look at different pieces of the puzzle and put them together to make informed decisions. The diverse work experiences, second language skills, the writing, marketing, communication skills, your teamwork, building relationships, rapport with others, time management, ability to handle multiple responsibilities at one time, integrity, ethics, and then that supervision or leadership skills. And like we talked about, that doesn't have to come from a job if you didn't have that, but you may have been involved in a student organization and showing those leadership skills. So looking at this first job that I pulled. So this is a sales representative entry level. So a couple of things. Well, starting salary for a bachelor's, I don't think that's too bad. Shows you a little bit of places. So this one, because I said within, I think my region was North South Carolina, and I think I said within 50 miles. So it showed you that South Carolina, but there's other places. But here you talk about they're looking for a problem solver, quick decision maker. They tell you a lot bit about the benefits. And I do want to hit on that. When you're looking at entry level positions, another thing for you to think about is the benefits package. So, Leslie and I work for the state, and I don't think it's any secret that state workers are not paid great, but our benefits package is amazing. Like I have so much leave and vacation time. And so I'm able to have a work-life balance because of that. So when you're looking at that first job, don't just look at what they're telling you that. If they're helping match a 401k, if they're giving you training, things like that, a mentoring program, so that entry-level position may be setting you up that you're getting leadership skills that are going to make you more attractive to that next employer. So always be thinking about what that job gives you, not just the money. So they're looking for someone that can establish relationships, that negotiation. So you're working with people there, managing shipments, resolving issues. They want that ethics. So someone that's honest and proactive. And here the following are needed. You hear, it doesn't say an accounting major or a science biology major. It's saying a college degree preferred. And then, but we have successful sales representatives without one. So not hiding that part, but just talking about that they are saying that it's not just a major. You can tell us how you have some of these skills that we're looking for. So the negotiation skills, working with the latest technologies. So that would be something you could highlight on your resume with the classes that you've taken in diverse backgrounds. So that's one. So then we have a manager communications. And again, I put entry-level position, and you're already going to look at management. So here they're looking for somebody that can build and establish relationships. And then this one to kind of defend the name. So if you're working in customer service, a lot of times you're going to have to be able to work with people that may not be happy. So having those negotiation skills, that emotional well-being, that you're not going to get sucked into their frustration and you're able to talk them down. Think about how relevant that can be with any kind of a job position, especially if you would go from an entry-level position to then looking at management, if you can talk about that experience. Managing numerous projects under deadline, contribute content. So there's that working with others, the internal communications, collaborating, interacting with employees. So again, preferred qualifications: to read, write, and speak the English language, written communication, the technical skills, detail, communication, prioritizing, maintain confidentiality, being able to work independently. All right, let me scroll. I shouldn't have done it on PDF. I thought this would make it easier. Education, bachelor's degree in journalism communications. And this is why I bolded that, because maybe you're not one of those, or related field or equivalent experience. So if you read a job description, you're like, oh my gosh, all my experiences together form this puzzle that would make me a great candidate for this position. So this is where you would look at that. And when you're writing your cover letter, that's what you would hit on. So you would explain why you would be a perfect candidate. And then when you're doing your resume, you would make sure you were hitting on some of those skills. So then here, a business development trainee. So that's really good. So they're going to train you in that. And again, they're paying for it. So ideal candidates have the following qualifications: interests, preferred, but not mandatory qualifications. So they're talking about this. So you all talked about, several of you all work in retail. So whether you know it or not, you're helping with strategic management. You know, you're thinking about, somebody talked about Harris Teeter. You know the skills there. I also worked in a grocery store. You know that the company ideals, and you're working towards those things. Customer service, almost any job, you're working on that kind of stuff. So again, you could talk about how you have those. So again, it's not saying a specific degree. So Teach for America, a core member, proven leadership experience on campus or in your current field. So they are saying that maybe you don't have a paid job, but you're working on campus, passionate about equity and social justice. They are looking for diverse recent college grads. Again, here's that communication piece, what you'll get. And here's the cool thing that I should have kept it on Word. Leadership trajectory. I can't speak. So they're saying that we are going to help you build those leadership skills, again, for that possible next job. And that next job might be in a different career field. It may be a different agency, or you may work yourself up. I know Leslie talked about how long she's been here. I've been here, I think I'm going on to my work at 18 and a half years, I think, don't quote me. So, but I've had different positions along the way. So working myself up that way. So what you'll need, again, doesn't say a specific major, but they do want you to have at least a 2.5 GPA and completed a bachelor's degree. So then this next one, store management role, providing leadership and insight into development strategy. Again, things you're going to be able to take other jobs. So they are going to actually train you within that. So they want you to have a bachelor's degree or currently enrolled within 2 semesters of graduating. And then they show you what could help you stand out. So then again, you're seeing some, I won't go through this, but analyze safety and compliance, plan and carry out a schedule, travel required. So the ideal candidate, they're asking what would you have, so that you can think about that, but it's just for recent graduates. Again, not a specific major. And then a leasing consultant. So this one, again, these are some things that you can think about. So maybe you just get out of college, you're going to have to start paying those student loans, and maybe you're not sure your next direction, or maybe you're taking a break like I did and work for a year before going on to graduate school so I could save up money. So something like this may be really great because they're looking for a bachelor's degree, but here are some benefits. And these are the things I talked about. So a retirement plan, medical, dental, vision insurance, a 401k retirement plan, all right, and then tuition reimbursement. So maybe if while you're working there, they're going to help pay for your college or your graduate degree or something like that. And here's living is expensive. So if you can get a job and you can get an apartment discount, that would be probably a great thing for an entry level position. And then there's promotion and internal career advancement. I've worked with graduate assistants that have taken a job in college that was helpful with their schedule. So one of my students that were now friends, she started working at Lay's potato chips. And it truly was just, I graduated college. I don't know what I want to do now. I'm not seeing a lot of jobs right away in my field, but this seems kind of interesting and benefits. Well, she is now like a big wig manager. She had to do a lot of travel at the beginning, but she was okay with that because she didn't have a family at first. But now she has a really good job. And I don't think when she was in college, she thought, I'm going to work at Lay's, not just potato chips, they have different things, but just keeping your eyes open and just being open to different experiences. Let's see if there's, I don't want to spend too much time, but again, qualifications, a bachelor's degree, same skills. And that's the last one there. So let me stop sharing. Okay, and then I think, Leslie, are you going to walk us through, kind of show some highlights of Handshake? Okay. And this is an awesome thing, guys.
Yes. So Maggie, thank you so much for sharing those. I love that. And I also love, that you went through and highlighted those skill sets or the competencies that the the employers are asking for, because that just shows the students and shows the applicants that that's true, right? I mean, this is like real. This isn't just something we make up because we say so, right? Mm-hmm. And I also like the highlighting piece, because when we're talking about resume writing, and this is a whole nother topic, but you're going to need to write a resume that contains these phrases and these words. So the highlighting piece is cool because you can go through and read and say, okay, yes, I can thrive in a fast-paced environment. Does my resume even say that? I mean, like those words on my resume, well, oh my gosh, no, they're not. Well, let me go ahead and put that on there. I worked retail in a fast-paced environment when I was in high school. Let me put that, do you know what I mean? So these job descriptions are really informative, and they can very well inform the content for a resume, you guys. And also, for what you might even be anticipating when you go for an interview sometime. So don't forget that, because, you're going to have to write these documents that and tell a relevant story to the employer. So that's going to be very helpful. So in terms of Handshake, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show you kind of what you can look forward to with Handshake. So all of you, if you have not logged into Handshake, the URL is uncw.joinhandshake.com. And you, no matter what, when you came in, either a transfer student or a freshman first year, you got a free account in Handshake. So if you haven't logged in yet, go ahead and do that after we're done. But the way you would look up jobs in Handshake is just to click on this tile here. And then it will take you to the screen. And the screen probably looks pretty familiar. I mean, most search engines for jobs look exactly like this. So like Indeed and LinkedIn looks exactly like this. So, when we're in here, maybe a best practice would be for current students like you guys would be to click on an internship. Okay. And so you're telling Handshake, okay, I know that I'm searching for a job type of an internship, right? Maybe you say, okay, I'm going home for the summertime. I need a summer internship and I'm from Raleigh. Let's pretend. I'm going to click on Raleigh for my location. And then I'm going to see that there's 57 internships in Raleigh. Now maybe I say, okay, I am, my strength is that I have a background in sales. Maybe that's a good keyword. So we're going to we can use sales as a keyword. You can use any of those competencies, or really any of those industries that I showed you before, like retail or hospitality, or, I think one of them was management consulting and things like that. So anyway, in this demo, you can see, just using that keyword of sales, you can see that I found 8 internships in Raleigh. And so now, what I can do is I can just kind of bookmark these if I'm interested. And I just wanted to show you that here's Sherwin-Williams. Maggie just showed you an entry-level position that Sherwin-Williams offers. Okay. They also have internships, and these internships are meant to lead into full-time roles. So Sherwin-Williams does a lot of hiring of interns, placing interns in management roles after the internship. And then Sherwin-Williams will grow that student or that graduate within the company. So there's a lot of opportunity. You think paint, who wants to do anything with paint or home improvement? But, I mean, maybe you like to dabble in it. Maybe you think it's kind of fun. You enjoy looking at colors and helping people and helping them make decisions like that. You never know. So if we look over here, kind of in the middle right, you can see where this particular one is going to want you to apply externally, which means on the Sherwin-Williams website. But you'll see how this internship is described. And again, you'll see a lot of those competencies that we already talked about. And we get into our must-haves: 18, driver's license, be legally able to work in the US, and enrolled in college. And then they have more there, okay? Same thing would happen if we can change this over to take internship off. So if you are a graduating senior, we can switch it to full-time. All right. Let me do something a little different. So we have sales as that particular filter. Let's take a look at this particular area where you can go through and you can actually pick your major out of these lists. So let's say if I'm an English major, show the results. So with that major, there are 193 jobs that are found for an English major. A lot of these positions that are posted in Handshake really are not necessarily targeted towards a specific major, okay? And so that is likely what has happened here inside of Handshake, is that the employer has requested really any major. Okay, so some great opportunities. But let's say that English major also has experience in customer service. Let's see what happens then. So now there are 72 jobs with that keyword of customer service for an English major. So that's kind of how you would do it with both your major and a keyword. So you can see how the list gets a little shorter when you start adding in those keywords. Okay. Maybe we say something like communication is a tricky word because it's a very broad term. So you can see now it's a larger list. So if I'm going through and I'm saying this looks really interesting, working as an outreach manager for an environmental finance center at Chapel Hill. Working as a public relations specialist, that sounds interesting. So you can see how this is a higher education environment. And then we come down here and this is a public relations specialist, completely different. It looks like also a non-for-profit, but because it's a foundation. But that's, again, with the English degree, with the word communication as a skill set or as a transferable skill or a competency. So I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that, you can choose major and, a competency all by itself, or you can, select a major all by itself, and you're going to get various results. If you like the results that you have, then you can click on Save Your Search. And if you notice here, it will say that the job alert is created. And so now this particular account, which is kind of my mock student account, if you will, I'll begin to get emails into my email that says, here are some new jobs from Handshake that apply to the full-time job in Raleigh for an English major who has communication skills. So that really does have you covered, and you do want options. Okay, so really great opportunities there for you. Okay, I'm going to stop share, and we have plenty of time to take questions. So it's about 10 of. So we would love to entertain any questions that you guys have about this topic. It is, a very important topic, and so we're happy to help you with anything that you have. Katie or Gracie or Thomas. So go ahead.
I was gonna say, I've recently started using Handshake
Mhm,
to try and find jobs and internships.
mhm,
But even though that I've put in my information of, creative writing major and preferences towards like, writing based jobs and, stuff, work
mhm,
to my strengths.
mhm.
But I find that a lot of the options that come up in kind of the job and in and internships when I go to, look for them, don't seem to really apply to the profile that I've made for myself on Handshake.
Okay. Yeah, and what in fact, let me go back real quick and share screen again, Thomas, and I'll kind of show you what you can do with that. But and this is something that will be good for Katie and Gracie to know too. So thank you for asking. But that your Handshake profile, and in particular, if wait, hold on, let me go to career interest. In particular, the career interest area, Thomas, is where you're really going to want to put your attention. And so the major, when you guys look at your, wait a minute, hold on. When you see your major inside of Handshake, that is what is coming to us from the registrar's office, first of all. Okay.
Okay.
So, and I'm going to stop my video real quick because it's getting a little herky jerky here. So that you would need to change with the registrar if it's not accurate. So that's the first thing. But the career interest area is what you want to take a keen look at, okay? Because this particular listing of career interests is going to be what feeds your homepage, okay? And so yeah, so when you're new to Handshake, it's going to ask you all these questions. And it looks like a lot, but it really isn't. But it'll walk you through each one of these. So if you remember when you're new, it asks you what type of job are you looking for, how can Handshake help you, whatever. And clearly your needs are going to change over time. So you can actually update that. So if I was an incoming freshman, I might say, oh, well, I want an on-campus job. Maybe I would, uncheck all of these, or maybe I would just check I want a job. What options am I considering after graduation? Maybe I say, I have no idea, but I know what I'm going to take some time off, right? Or maybe I'm going into the military. And you kind of get the drift. So the kind of roles you're interested in, that will drive the jobs that will come into your homepage. Where you're interested in living, that will drive. And then of course you have what industries interest you and what kinds of jobs or functions interest you. And sometime, when do you expect to graduate? Sometimes, we'll encounter students that are a little bit on the fence about jobs, job functions, and industries. And so in which case, we can talk about dream jobs. We can talk about kind of, what kind of experiences have you already had that you enjoyed, and what industry were they in, and so, and again, this particular part of your account is going to change over time. So when you change and save your interests, what will happen is that the feed into your homepage, which is here, will begin to change. So there will be, of course, the events coming and new jobs recommended for you. Krispy Kreme has an internship program, you guys. All right. I bet there are free donuts involved in that, huh? And then it'll show you the jobs that you saved and based on the role. So roles you're interested in, that comes straight from that career interests little like survey that we just showed you. Popular in your major. Right now, my major is history in the system. And then it has artificial intelligence, which will follow you kind of around and it will show you what you're doing. But yeah, so, and there are suggestions that we give too. And there is if anybody's interested, it's an internship program the state of North Carolina has for a COVID-19 student response corps, which is a new position. So on-campus jobs and all that. But the profile that I was kind of alluding to, so the career interest is one and the profile is the second one. And So after you finish the interests, it will also populate on this left-hand side little ribbon. So you can see them. You don't have to click on the other page. You can see them right with your profile. Does that help a little bit, Thomas, or did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. I also have my current Handshake profile pulled up, and now
Good.
looking at it, there's I feel like, yeah, probably doing adding some more to it.
Yeah.
Would probably definitely help, and I could see how that yeah, thank you, that was very helpful.
Good. You're welcome. You're welcome. So remember that Handshake is a place where you want to be found. So, and this is true for summer jobs. It's true for internships, on campus jobs, et cetera. And so when your profile is complete, you do have the ability, like for example, my profile is visible to employers and students and alumni and all that. And so, I can even click and look at the employer view. I can do all kinds of things depending on what I want. And so the idea here is that you really want to be found by employers. And you can upload resumes and all kinds of things in there too. So still got a couple of minutes left if anybody has any further questions, Katie or Gracie. And just realize too that if you'd rather speak with either Maggie or I on an individual basis, you'd rather talk just one-on-one. Absolutely. I'll put my email address in the chat.
While you all are thinking, as an academic advisor, I would just encourage you to really think about what you are passionate about. And then from there, you can figure out a career based on that. Instead of thinking, I need to do this major because of this. Because when you have a job you enjoy, yes, there are sometimes I don't want to get up because I'm not a morning person. But there's never a day when, COVID working at home is a little odd, but I love what I do and I get excited about what I do. And so it's not like drudgery. So just encouraging you, thinking about your strengths and your passions, find those, and that can help guide you.
Absolutely. And there's jobs that you have to take because you need to pay the bills and you don't have a choice because you have a bill, coming up or whatever. That happens too. I mean, it's sort of, that's how life plays out sometimes. But, those positions also have lessons to teach too. Mm-hmm. And so not that you'd want to ever, I've had a couple that I would never want to go back to for sure. Yeah. Right. But I also had a lot of lessons that I learned about myself and about what I do and don't want to do. And that's the joy of getting experience in your life. So yeah. All righty. Well, we've recorded this too. So if you all have any friends or classmates or peers that wanted to come today, but just simply couldn't because of their schedules, we'll be putting these recordings up on our YouTube channel. So hopefully that will be a benefit to our other students at UNCW. But if there are no further questions or even comments that you'd like to make or anything, we will go ahead and close our session for today.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Miss Katie. Thank you. Okay.
All right. Thank you guys so much. It was a pleasure spending time with you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
You're welcome.